Strap yourselves in, guys. Let's get ready for it. Chapter 2, The Makings of a Hero. As the young man land... Oh, do you want me to try to use the deep voice? Or like a character voice? So I want to try, doing that more. Like I said, it doesn't have the same impact if, I'm not, right up to the mic. Use the deep voice for practice. Alright, here we go. As the young man landed onto the hot desert sand, he gets up and looks at the pocket watch. And it reads, Mesopotamia, 2100 BCE. The young man sighs. Thank goodness I know where I am now. I got to do is find a place to sit before I die of heat stroke. Is that supposed to say all I got to do? I guess it's boop, there. All I got to do. All I got to do is find a place to sit before I die of heat stroke. The young man keeps walking and walking until he sees a city bustling with people selling food and clothing. However, before he could go into the city and sit somewhere, he gets caught by one of the soldiers with a gruff voice. Hey! You're trespassing on Babylonian territory. The young man responds to the soldier. Look, man, I just need to sit somewhere so I can cool down. The soldier doesn't believe the young man and thinks he is a spy for a neighboring nation. However, before he can apprehend the young man, he sees the boy has fled from sight. The young man runs towards the nearest shade, so he catches his breath and assesses the situation. The young man then sits down with a panicked tone. What the heck was that, and who was that guy? Trespasser of Babylon, my ass. I just wanted to cool down. What the young man didn't know was that the soldier was one of the royal guards for King Uruk. Meanwhile, at the ziggurat of Uruk, Babylon, the soldier from earlier tells his king about the trespasser. My lord Gilgamesh, there was a young man who was on Babylonian soil who seemed look like an outsider or a spy. I'm not sure about seemed look like? Who seemed look like? Two? Seemed to look like? Yeah. Okay. Just trying to construct it in my head. I'm like, what is it missing? It's good practice. What should we do with him? With his blonde hair and shit-faced grin, Gilgamesh says to the shoulder, Leave him for now. I would like to meet this trespasser who dared to walk upon the country of my people. I'm guessing. Back in the streets of Babylon, the young man walks around to see if he can find any food to eat. His stomach growls as he says in a worried tone, Geez, where can a guy find some food? He kept walking to find any food, but to no avail. Eventually, he passes out from starvation. However, the king's assistant... I don't know if that's supposed to say the king? Just king's assistant? I don't know if you need it there, but I would probably add it there. The king's assistant, Siduri, sees his passed out form and brings him into her house. She places his body on her bed and makes sure he's comfortable. But there, Siduri could not help but wonder who this person was. She asks herself in a curious tone, I wonder who this man is. Could he be a visitor from the gods? Maybe a thief to take gold from the king's treasury. I will say this is a stylistic choice, so this could be something that, like, sets you apart for a repetition reason, for purposes, but if you're gonna have a character say something, you don't need to have the prefix. But I kind, like, if it's a stylistic thing that you like, I could get behind it. As long as it remains consistent, that's what will make it be purposeful, right? So you have to basically do it every single time someone is, and you have to, like, basically create rules around when you would use it and when you wouldn't use it. And then you can play with that and be like, oh shit, he didn't use it this time, is this important? Or you'll use it, but then you won't say anything, and people will be like, oh shit, this is important. What specifically, like, if it's like, oh, what specific words to say, and then it doesn't tell you, it's like, you can capitalize on that really easily, right? And that's the good thing about having these stylistic things, is they build up a idea and a consistency in the reader's brain. And when you break that consistency, as long as you're doing it with purpose in mind, then you're basically, like, creating your own system of, like, either foreshadowing or whatever it may be, right? Of creating contrast in the story, where there may be, it may seem like a mundane moment, but simply by breaking these rules that you've established, you alert the reader to paying attention to that and saying, oh, that's actually really important. But the characters don't necessarily pick up on it. But it's because of the way that you've worded things, as the style of the authorship gives the reader an emphasis they can work with. And then that's just a good way of, like, using a technique. Hey, I answered your question. What was my question, Fish? And where did you answer it? I didn't know I asked a question, my bad. She places his body... Oh, right. I wonder who this man is. Could he be a visitor from the gods? Maybe a thief to take gold from the king's treasury. As she kept wondering who this mysterious man might be, the young man wakes up from his slumber. He sees Siduri and asks her, "Where am I, and who are you?" Siduri responds to the young man's question with a gentle smile. "I am the king's assistant, and well, I couldn't bear the sight of you to be in a terrible state, and I couldn't bear to the sight of you being in such a..." Huh. Pig lets off warning shots. Should they get the slammer? I said yes, because it's factual that doing so will endanger lives, and those who grow up around guns will be more than aware of that. Yeah, but the fact is, it doesn't set a precedent if no one's actually been shot like that. Because everyone will fight against it until it actually happens, and then everyone will say, well, why didn't you stop it? And everyone will say, well, we did, and you fought against it. Being in such a terrible state. However, the more important thing is that you need some food, my dear. She takes him downstairs to her kitchen and sits him down at the table. Siduri gives the young man some water to drink and fruit to eat. As he is eating, Siduri asks him a question. What are these trinkets? Siduri shows him his glasses. Ain't no way, bro? Well, it's, say on God that there isn't a precedent. I mean, not legally, no, fish. Even if someone has died from a random bullet drop out of the sky, there's no way to prove that law enforcement was the cause of it. Like I said, they'll fight against it every fucking step of the way until it actually happens. And they'll be like, oh shit, we should have listened to you. You fucking retards. That's my opinion, at least. Fish. Although it is a precedent in China because there's tall buildings in China. Oh, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, fish, that it's not a thing. But that's the way the world is. The world's fucking crazy. What are these trinkets? Siduri shows him his glasses and the pocket watch as to what they are. Remember, I'm not a grammar god. I have no idea. But it seems like that's a little backwards. Siduri shows him his glasses and the pocket watch. As to what they are and how they function, she had no idea. Kinda add on to there, like reasoning, right? And this is where you can do that thing again, where you do the repeat, where she had no idea what these things were. And then she hands him his, what are these trinkets? And then shows him his glasses and pocket watch. And then you can have those all in 3 separate pieces. And that will add emphasis onto it, right? And show that, like, she doesn't know what's going on. And then that continues that trend of asking the question, right? Siduri shows him his glasses and the pocket watch as to what they are and how they function. The young man finishes eating for a moment so he can tell her what they do. He first holds up, I think that's what I say, his fist. He first holds up the first, oh, I'm dumb. I'm retarded, that's me, that's on me. Calm down. I got this. He first holds up the first object. These are my glasses. They help me see because without them I cannot see very well. He then holds up the second item that is on the table and explains what it does. This round thing is a pocket watch that helps with checking the time. Siduri responds to his explanations. I see, so they are tools to help you in life. The young man nods yes. Siduri then tells him something important. She says with a firm tone, if you are to stay in Babylon, you must serve the king. He looks at Siduri, puzzled as to what she means. As in being a soldier or fighting for the kingdom? She responds to him with a gentle smile. Well, that's one of the things you could do, but if you really want to prove to the king that you are worthy, then I suggest you come with me. The young man, now more confused, asked Siduri in a puzzled tone, "Why you? Can't I just go on my own and ask for a task?" Siduri, with a straight face, explains why the young man must go with her. "For the one thing, people might think you are a spy, or people might think you are some sort of god, which you clearly aren't." Yo, D-Knot, what's up? Welcome, welcome, brother! How are you today, good sir? The two of them see that the sun is setting and head upstairs. She shows him to his room. As he settles down in his room, the young man speaks in a warm tone to Siduri. We are reading TLBG's story. TLBG, The Sands of Time. Oh, yes, they are very much the sands of time. Don't question it. It is only what they are. Don't worry. I wanted to thank you for helping me. It means a lot to me. Siduri smiles at him. It's the least I could do for you. Besides, I couldn't leave someone in need. As Siduri walks out of the room, she says this in a quiet voice. Good night. His body relaxes and his eyes close on him as his first day ends. The next day starts with the young man waking up and going downstairs and seeing Siduri cook some morning breakfast with some grains and vegetables. As he sits at the table with a meal, Siduri talks to him about what is going to happen. Okay, before we do anything, we must get rid of those clothes of yours so you can blend in. As for your foreign trinkets, they must stay here lest you find yourself at odds with the townspeople. As we get ready to see the king, I am given a tunic with wool pants. The young man asks Siduri about his glasses. Am I retarded, or is that the first time you've done present tense? I feel like it is. Other than in a sentence? So, is that supposed to be... I may have screwed up on this one. Okay. Because yeah. Because from the narrator is a separate person than the main character, right? Because that's like the way that you've established your narration. I was supposed to write, he is given a tunic. Yeah. And one thing I will say is, TLBG, do you know who the narrator is and why they're telling the story? Because that is very important to, like, let readers know throughout the story. Give hints towards who the narrator could be. Someone who survived afterwards. Like, think of, like, a good example of this is, like, the narrator from 300, right? He's the guy who lost his eye, who goes back because he can't fight as well. And he's the one who's telling the story about it. Wattpad style pros? Ram, yo, what's up? I don't know, this is TLBG's story. But, is that like some sort of, like, jab at, like, young writers because young people use Wattpad? No, it's just double space so it's easier to read. I have Wattpad. I haven't actually, I don't think, posted anything on it, Ram. But how's it going today, good sir? It's a different way of writing. I didn't know it had its own, like, format. That's the word I was looking for. Specific format. But welcome, Ram. It has been a while, good sir. How are you? We're going to have an ad break in a little bit here, but we can get through another little bit of this. This is TLBG's story, The Sands of Time. Top stories are written in a certain way. And it's just like the top, if you look at all the top Reddit, or top YouTube horror story channels, they're all the Reddit format of, you know, I was this and then this happened. So, I understand, I don't know what the format is, but I understand the concept of the familiarity of the format, and that's what drives you. A little more beauty. Fair enough. Fair enough, Ram. Absolutely fair enough. Reads like an unpolished draft, basically. This does, or Wattpad stories, because this is a first draft, right? You always got to keep that in mind, right? We're never reading final products. We're reading works in progress. So that's kind of like why I wanted to specifically put the beta readings. Jack went to the office. Walls of polished gold with 6 doors made of silver material. That's a simple sentence. I do plan to fix it and edit the story once it's done. Exactly. Not necessarily great, but juicy. But that's like an incomplete sentence, isn't it, Ram? Like, wouldn't that be a fragmented sentence? Because the first half of the sentence has nothing to do with the second half of the sentence. There's no connection. It's not like the walls were, right? Because that's how you would normally structure the sentence. It'd be Jack went to the office. The walls were polished gold, and there were 6 doors made of silver material. So a lot of prepositional phrases and fragmentary, like, A positives. It's giving an example of what this draft looks like, which I don't necessarily disagree with. It is a first draft, though. Oh, I thought he was talking about Wattpad stories in general. I didn't know he was talking specifically about this story. That's what confused me. I'm like, how did we jump from I use Wattpad to critiquing TLBG's story? That's where I got lost, Ram. It's all style. Every generation reads differently. That's why I said if it's a stylistic choice, keep it, but make sure that it's consistent. Because what makes it a stylistic choice is the consistency. Because then the reader will realize that it's intentional and it's not a mistake. And then you can use that to manipulate certain aspects by breaking those rules that you've established to get readers to pay attention to certain things. It's almost like a camera pan per line. Yeah. And that again could be a stylistic choice, but again, it has to be consistent. So it's like using past tense in this sense, right? That's why I said it's important to know who the narrator is, even if you never put it in the story, because knowing who the narrator is will give credence to their voice and the prose, right? Basically, the prose in this is different from the prose in my work. It can be style, but it could also be from lack of writing experience or knowledge. Is this to be published? Not online serially. Like how I try to use a different dialect for lower class people who didn't have lessons in diction. If I don't keep it consistent, then it won't make sense. Exactly, Sean. Exactly. You can do anything through consistency. Because it's the suspension of disbelief and the ability that over time, the reader will recognize that it's intentional and it's purposeful and it has meaning. And as long as you give it meaning in a way, they'll buy into it. It's when it's all over the place and there's back and forths and there's no real meaning to it. That's when it looks like a mistake, right? So that's the shearing up of it. But like I said, we don't really care that much about grammar. Apparently this is TLBG's work. It's a first draft. Because he said he just finished writing this, right, TLBG? Like, you just finished writing this yesterday. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So he's like, well, I might as well get the beta read and the critique before I edit it. So one of the things we might cut is putting on the glasses. Well, it's like, Ram... See, we're not critiquing grammar, sentence structure, word choice, or anything like that. We are only saying, what is the story? What is the story progression? And how are you portraying that idea? I meant it as no dramatic potential. So it slows down the pacing. But, Ram, those are small details that we, like... It's not... Yeah, it's not... How do you say this? This chapter, it depends on what the purpose of the chapter is, right? And at this point, it's like, what does the character want? Right? So he's kind of at this point being like, well, I can't, you can filter through the POV more if you want to keep it. Yeah, that's fair enough, Ram. No, this is chapter 2. Chapter 1 was how the character got themselves. It's to introduce the reader to Mesopotamia before anything big happens. Exactly. Like, you're getting into the clothes, so you've got the style of the time. You're getting into the fact that he can't wear glasses because it'll show it, like, he'll stand out because of it. Sidiri thought the way he put on his glasses made him especially sexier. Well, she wouldn't say that because she's with Gilgamesh, isn't she? And he can't wear his glasses because it would be out of place. So it would be more, you know, Sidiri is Gilgamesh's assistant. Okay. He was putting on his glasses in the story. But he's... See, Ram, this is where I'm confused. Because he's not putting on his glasses. She's taking his glasses from him. So use the nearest POV to make it push character and plot. Oh, that was before, but I mean like now. Reason is because she doesn't know what glasses or a pocket watch are. Because those things are not invented yet. Yeah. So, like, she's super confused, like, you know. Soft on for efficiency. Well, it's like, it depends on what edit we're doing, right, Ram? Like, the first edit is always a developmental edit. All you're trying, because we do, the problem is, if you try to do everything at once, you'll get overwhelmed and you'll miss things. So when I try to do things, I try to focus on a specific thing so that I don't get sidetracked from that. And then you want the big picture. Does the big picture make sense? Okay. Now that we know that the big picture makes sense, how do we make it efficient? I also think a sentence is needing to push me to the next sentence. Yeah, and that's line editing. That's like the third version of editing, right? That's when you want to know the details that are on the page. Not how does word 100 match word 600 that matches word 1100 that matches word 1500. But it's a different opinion because I can't get to the story if I'm not interested. Well, that's the difference between someone who's like a beta reader, right? It's like you have to be able to be interested in the story from a simple idea. And I think that's probably why I'm a good beta reader, because I can fall in love with the story from a simple idea. Oh, this is time traveling into ancient historical Babylonia? Oh, I'm sold. Instantly sold. You don't have to tell me anything else, I'm reading your story. Right? Oh, hey, the Avatar movies. The one with the blue aliens. Either the gravity should be almost non-existent, or else the natives should be tiny. And humans should be squashed flat. That atmosphere should be either super dense, in which case nothing can grow that large, or super thin, and humans should be bouncing higher than they were on the moon. Okay, just had to get that off my chest since I thought of it last night. That's true, Sean! Because the reason why the Na'vi are so big and their bones are so dense is because of the gravity on the planet, right? Hello, not. Why do you say things so officially? It's just the way that fish... Hello, face ass. True. Okay. Okay, back to the story, guys. Back to the story. As for foreign trinkets, they must stay here, lest you find yourself at odds with the townspeople. Babylonia is just one of many time periods Citation will be reading. Any time period, automatically sold. Don't need to tell me anything else. I'll read it. If nothing else, just for the experience of the time period. And what your take on that time period is. As we get ready to see the king, he is given a tunic with wool pants. The young man asks Siduri about his glasses. Hey, Siduri, is it okay if I at least wear my glasses? And there is one thing I will say here. They never introduce each other. So you should have them introduce each other so they know who they are. And then you know who the main character is through there. So that would kind of be an important step that we need along the way. It's just a simple introduction. I'm Siduri. And if you did that and I fucking missed it, I'm retarded and I'm sorry. But I don't remember there actually being an introduction moment. It was just the narrator knows who Siduri is. But I don't know how the character knows who Siduri is. Gag rule is a thing feedback circles sometimes implement because the author won't always be there to explain things. I don't know what you mean by gag rule. As we get ready to see the king, he is given... Oh, we already read that. Siduri responds with a sigh. All right, fine, but only because it helps you see better. He smiles and puts on... Oh, we hadn't even... Wait, you guys were talking about a part that I hadn't even read yet. No wonder I was so confused. I was like, what are you talking about? He hasn't put his glasses on yet. Because I haven't read that part yet. Fucker's reading ahead of me on the page. Totally causing me to fucking be so confused. Guys, I'm dumb. You need to spell it out like A, B, C, D. You can't go A, Z and be like, oh, you know it's the alphabet. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? I may be able to extrapolate and infer of my own will, but from someone else, I'm a fucking retard. Which means if you don't spell it out, I probably won't see it. But you have to spell it, even if you spell it out the tiniest bit. Even if you don't realize you're doing it. Alright, fine, but only because it helps you see better. He smiles and puts on his glasses, and they head off to Babylon's ziggurat, where the king is waiting for them. As they walk into the walk up to the stairs, I am guessing you mean walk up the stairs, or walk into the plaza? Plaza? Didn't I ask you something? What is this? Fish? You tripping for real, fam. Fish, I have no idea what you're saying. And if I missed one of your messages, I'm really sorry. You spot this title on RR. Reincarnated in a world of ads. Whoever that poor MC is, I feel so sorry for them. That's awesome, Sean. No, you tripping, Fish. As they walked up the stairs of the ziggurat, they finally see the throne room where they see the king himself. And it's like, see, like things like this where it repeats like that, that's not really something that I'm like focusing on right now, right? It's like, you're getting the idea across. That's all that matters. They went upstairs, they went in there, they saw the king, right? So it's like most of my first drafts are almost bullet point sentences. You know, they're all like 5 to 9 word sentences. This is TLBG. Yeah. You are sorry you got dark. Got dat. Fish, you all over the place, buddy. Only he'd be writing that historical stuff, you understand me? I mean, it's historical fiction, right? The guy is tasked with fixing the timeline of humans to make it not so fucked up. Here I was thinking you effed with me. I'll always F with you, baby. True! You can F with me too, D-Not. I was gonna ask how fish could be tripping. I mean, fish don't have feet to trip with. Love it, Sean. Absolutely love it. As they walked up, once Siduri and the young man entered the room, Siduri speaks first. Your Excellency, I bring you this young man from a faraway land. Gilgamesh laughs. Ah, this is the trespasser one of the guards told me about. An unassuming boy with a bland hairdo and some clothes. I've seen more things more threatening. I think it's supposed to say things more threatening. I've seen things more threatening than a regular lung lad like him. Fucking with can be a positive or negative context. True. And I said I'll always fuck with you, buddy. Yeah, I understand slang. You meant fucking with. My dad jokes will be lame, but they are genuine. It's true, Sean. It's true. However, Gilgamesh sees the glasses on the boy's eyes. It should be like on the boy's nose. I feel like. What do you guys think? Think it should be nose? Face? Okay. Puzzled, he asks the young man. You there, young man, what are those things on your eyes? Now, having him say that in dialogue is a lot different, right? And that's the difference between like a normal structure narrated voice and character voice. Because you can make it stand out that way, right? And as long as it's in dialogue and it's consistent, again, it'll maintain that it's purposeful to the dialogue and the voice of the character and intentional. And if he calls them something like his second eyes, then that becomes like a play on that, right? That you could like capitalize on. And I don't have friends, so you probably shouldn't. Hey, you don't have friends, Fish? Neither do I. And neither does Zoinko. We could all be friends, and we'd have friends. Comma after there, and again after man. Grammarly trips out all the time when I do that. I'll be your first friend. Hell, no, I'm his first friend, do you not? Fuck you. Fish, I'm your first friend, right? Right? I call that. Dibs. Dibs. Shotgun. Shotgun on first friend. He pushed up his glasses to explain to Gilgamesh what they are. These are my glasses. They help me see better. Fuck you, Scotty. Get out of here. Fine. Turns off stream. I would never be friends with you, Scotty. Fuck! Well. I'm a little too old for you to be friends with. You're still a minor. The crying is exactly why. I'm 23? What? Grown man crying only because you already are. Burn! Fuck. Shut your bitch ass up. Oh. Gilgamesh responds, how interesting. Now intrigued. Interesting. A device that lets a person see much clearer. Gilgamesh then speaks to Siduri. Let me guess, you brought this interesting lad to be assigned a task, yes? Ours works. You can say ours. You can say whatever the fuck you want. You can say the N-word if you want. I don't give a fuck. Type D's nuts. Oh, what in the butt? Drag D's nuts. You reek of TikTok brain rot. Yeah, I can definitely see that, TLBG. But he also has some damn good references. But that could all be, actually now putting it into context, could be from TikTok brain rot. Ah, fuck, guys. We found out Fish's weakness. We discovered what he truly is. Oh no! Who's 23 years old? Boy, stop playing with me. You're 23, Fish. Siduri nods her head and speaks. Yes, Lord Gilgamesh, that's what I was here for. Gilgamesh smiles and turns to him. Tell me, lad, have you heard of this mighty goddess named Ishtar? The young man responds with a nod. Yes, I have. Didn't she blow up a mountain and throw her husband into the underworld? Gilgamesh responds. So you know of that wretched woman of a deity. Poor Tammuz. Tammuz was a kind man who was a shepherd and then got caught in a cobweb of Ishtar's beauty only to get thrown into Erishikal's domain. I'm the only 46 fuddy duddy at 40. I'm the old fuddy duddy at 46 years old. Add 10 years. Don't make me send a photo of my ID. Ishtar is said Easter. And she's a goddess of fertility. Her symbols are rabbits and eggs. But Ishtar sounds way better. Fuck Easter. I like Ishtar. Whoa! Gilgamesh then paces around the throne room to think of a task for him. Ishtar has a warhammer. And has a giant bow. Said it sounds, but I like it better. I think it's more interesting. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care! How'd you know what shirt I was wearing? True, Sean. His brain then finally lights up. What if this man from afar could deal with Babylon's arrogant mistress from the skies? He then turns back to Siduri and the young man. So he's chuck an entire planet at people. Damn. I'm wearing an I do what I want shirt. Say where the action at. This is chapter 2. There ain't much action. This is establishing setting and character. You don't want to get into action. The action happened in chapter 1 when the character died. Wait, the character died, right? TLBG or something like that? And then they were taken like when they weren't supposed to be or something like that. He's got a cat pushing a coffee cup off the table. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Because there's another, he got shot. Yeah, okay. That's right, he walked outside and it was a random bang. He got shot in the head and died. That's right. Yeah. I had action in my first and second chapters. Well, I mean, someone dying, that's action, right? My first chapter is nothing but action. But it's also 9,000 words. And that's not going to be how the book starts. And told by Father Time to fix humanity's bullshit. Yeah. I have an idea. Why not have this boy deal with the mighty Ishtar? Why would it would give him experience and of notoriety in this land. I would say and bring notoriety or something like that. Again, it's I don't think it's getting across the right idea. Like, is notoriety for the land, for Gilgamesh, or is the notoriety for the person? And that's where it can be a little bit confusing there. Besides, it would make for good stories for the people. Siduri is nervous about this. She has never seen her king appoint a person not from their land a task such as this grand of a scale. She then asks Gilgamesh in a nervous tone, "Are you sure this is the right fit for someone like him? What if he never comes back?" Gilgamesh responds to Siduri's hesitation. "Not to worry, my dear assistant, he will be fine. Besides, a hero doesn't come out of nowhere. And go and see to it that you give that goddess a challenge." And off this young man goes to find Ishtar and defend the ancient city of Babylon. It would not only let him acquire experience, but also let him gain notoriety amongst the people of this land. True, Sean. So, thoughts? Definitely needs to dive more into the character. Like Ram said, right? Needs to be more character idea, less narration. But again, it's a style of what you want. Do you want that? Do you, because the narrator has the aspect of getting into their heads by preempting what they're gonna say. So you can use that to your advantage in order to build up how the characters feel more. And get inside of them more. Feel for their motivations, their reasonings, right? And make that a lot more clear. But the overall, you know, character arrives, character gets rejected, character gets found out, character gets found after passing out, character gets explained through slight exposition, and meets other character. So having more of a personal conversation between the two of them, and maybe having the main character be hesitant about what he's going to say, because he's worried about, like, fucking with the timeline, be another angle to go along with. But all in all, the Chapter 3 is going to be a lot of stuff about Ishtar, so there will be fights. Well, we don't really care about the action, if it's character action, right? You want to be able to make the character putting his glasses on as interesting as him casting a spell. And that's through character motivation and reasoning. Main character shouldn't wear his glasses unless he's reading. He can't get them replaced or repaired, so he'll need to protect them. Also, Gilgamesh wouldn't understand that merely corrects vision. He'd think it lets you see better. If he tried them on, which he would, he'd then call the main character a liar and probably kill him for it. Sean, that is a perfect angle to go with. Wingardium Leviosa. What is the true meaning of those words, though? Yeah. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. And Gilgamesh in myth does start out as an arrogant person. That's what I was going to reference. What you know about that? Grew up on Harry Potter, what do you mean? True. Yeah, just like for a developmental edit, I'd say working more with him hiding his glasses and his glasses in the pocket watch to him being things that he knows. Maybe right off the bat, Fish or TLBG, have him like hide his glasses and his pocket watch somewhere. And maybe have them lost, and maybe have him go back and find them. Give him some character motivation to do something, and a hidden secret that other characters will assume that he's lying about something. And then just say, oh, I don't have that great a vision, right? Shut up, your overlords are playing ads. Oh, fuck. We're in the middle of ads. My bad. I'm sorry, the ads have come. There is nothing left for you while the ads are here. There would be for you to fall. Nothing that you could do for such a thing as these ads upon the wall. You call such a thing as home. But I know better than such is what you would gain from us, so why don't you call upon those who would reckon such a remainder of the cost? I do not know of such things, but you very much could. You got anyone lined up next, Scotty? It depends on if Country Girl is still here. And if Ninja is here. Damn, that makes me, like, fucking headed doing that. That is not the best voice to have. But yeah, maybe having the main character hide the pocket watch and hide the glasses. Back from ads. Awesome. Hide the pocket watch, hide the glasses, and make them have, like, his quest at the beginning is literally to go back, find the pocket watch and his glasses, and he keeps getting, pulled away from that. And eventually, he, like, goes up to Ishtar, gets him to go around with a walk, and then he shows them to Ishtar. Because Ishtar is, like, a god, a deity, so she would know. So it's like, he keeps them secret from everyone except for her, and then it's like a bonding moment between them. I don't know what you want to do with that, but have the glasses and pocket watch play an extremely important role in this chapter. and have the entire chapter be focused kind of around that, and then so have that like be the capital P plot of this chapter, and then the lowercase p plot is Gilgamesh giving him the task. And you can even have like Ishtar taking his glasses away from him and making fun of him for wearing glasses. I am, she yeeted her husband, Tamuz, into the underworld. Yeah. Just a mixed-sized HP. It has Windows 11, sadly, but otherwise it's solid. Because he bought a new laptop, so it may be writing time soon. Once I get it functioning properly, it just needs updates. Oh god, Fish, don't update your laptop! You better not have bought it from Walmart. You're gonna want to have to fully reformat that shit. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's just like, you, again, TLBG, you do what you do for the story, so don't ever feel like you have to take advice, right? Because the person who's giving advice may not understand fully where you're going with the story, so their advice may not be applicable to you, right? But simply the advice that this chapter needs something more to it, and I think adding the more to it could be the glasses and the pocket watch. So whatever you decide to do, whether that's get more inside of the characters' heads, more reasoning for the characters, maybe, you know, explain Siduri more, get her to explain a feeling for Gilgamesh, but just add some sort of other element that you're trying to expose or represent or say to the reader in this chapter. Because I feel like this chapter is a pure setting moment when it could be both a setting and a character moment. And the glasses and pocket watch, I feel, are a missed opportunity to do that. But all in all, it's good. It's Gilgamesh's wife in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Yeah, but she's not his wife yet, right? But you could have those inferences where they have, like, the secret where they've always loved each other, but they couldn't get together until later, right? Power of friendship and love and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And she sees Gilgamesh sees something in her because she can see other things in people like he does. Or whatever. Whatever reason it actually is, use that to form the character early on. And then it's like her view of what Gilgamesh is. And then you can use that slightly of being like, oh yeah, Gilgamesh is this awesome, great, grand person and stuff. And then he shows up and Gilgamesh is a piece of shit, douchebag, dickhole. And you're like, what the fuck? She said he was a great dude. But it's like, that's her perspective opinion, not the reality of it, right? And then you can use her character to portray that difference in contrast to show that she has a bias towards his attitude, right? And then you can show that he treats her completely different, and you're like, okay, well, maybe that's why. But she still wasn't, you know, kind of saying, oh, he treats other people like this, but she's only saying, oh, it's just the way that he treats me. If it's a wind-up pocket watch, he wouldn't need to hide at that. Showing that would teach the concepts of gears and springs. Very budget, average laptop here. 8 gigabytes RAM, Windows 11, Pro 64-bit, i3 Intel CPU. You dig? Yeah, budget, but good for basic work. Yeah, you don't need to play fucking... you can play RuneScape, chess, and StarCraft on it. You just can't play Ghosts of Yotai. And you could probably play Marvel Rivals on it with lag. Exactly, writing and some soft gaming. You heard me? Yup. True. I have a Starforge PC, fucking $3,000 PC, because I stream. And I edit. Mainly because I edit. Like, streaming really doesn't take that much. It's editing. Editing fucking takes a lot of shit. That's where I run all of my RAM at. Video games and editing. Alright. But Country Girl, are you here? We are ready for the next story.